Julian Burnside.
Hey?
Bill Thompson is my name.
Yeah, g'day.
You and I have spoken a number of times at the Wheeler Centre and at La Trobe Uni and at the Rural Australians for Refugees conference in Albury in 2006.
Golly, that's a while back.
Have you got a moment to talk to me about the presumption of innocence?
Yeah, no, I'm not sure I expect much.
Okay, it's a bit noisy here.
It is.
Mate, I've been watching the... are you happy here?
If you're happy,
yeah. There's a bit of shadow on your face, mate.
Sorry, what's this being recorded for?
I do a thing called Outside Insiders, and I came down this morning to chat with the folks there, and I saw you arrive earlier. I thought I'd see if you would be prepared to...
Why don't we walk down further,
that's fine.
Further away from the noise?
That's fine. Mate,
There's a shaded area.
Okay. I was in the States for 5 months earlier this year, and I saw the start of the Kavanaugh controversy, so I was intrigued that it may have finalised this morning. We'll see what happens.
Well, he's been confirmed.
Well, yes, and now I think the President has to go through formalities or something to officially...
Not much doubt about that.
No, that's true. I agree with that.
He's been pushing for him and abusing Christine
Ford, yes. Well, I stayed up all night to watch the testimony of the two people involved in this, and I found Professor Ford's testimony to be, on its face, credible and reasonable, and I found his testimony credible. I appreciate there's some controversy over his demeanour at times.
Yeah,
but
and his past. He lied about his past, it seems.
I don't know that that's been confirmed, but I know that that's been alleged.
Yeah.
But the presumption of innocence is the bedrock of...
Not in that context.
Okay, so you're just drawing a distinction between court proceedings and the Senate inquiry into his fitness for office.
Yeah. His conduct suggested he wasn't fit for the office. His conduct in the hearing.
Okay. Did you watch the whole thing?
I didn't watch the whole thing.
Okay. I did watch the whole thing. And while I agree that he fought back vigorously against the allegations on occasion.
What about his last-ditch thing where he said that having had an all-out go at the people who opposed him, he said they need to know that what goes around comes around.
That's I didn't hear that, but that's an interesting comment.
Like a direct threat to
people
whose political views he disagrees with.
It is possible to make that argument. I'm sure it's possible to refute that argument as well. The people had pored over his judicial decisions over a 12-year period. And were unable to find anything that disqualified him from the office. And I appreciate the polarised situation in America has now made it almost impossible for people to come together in a bipartisan fashion to agree to differ. But we've agreed to differ on whether the presumption of innocence applies here. Yeah. This morning on ABC News, I'll just pull this up, I saw a headline that says, and there's a screenshot, the US Senate has voted to confirm Brett Kavanaugh's nomination to the Supreme Court despite sexual misconduct allegations against him. On the ABC News.
Yep.
Now, would it be appropriate, do you think, for at some stage in the future, the ABC to report as a news item that Bill Shorten is putting himself forward to be the Prime Minister of Australia despite a rape allegation? Would that be a fair ABC headline?
That raises totally different questions, and I don't think that would be a fair headline.
Are you aware of...
I mean, it would be a fair headline in the sense that it would be accurate.
Okay.
I think it would be an undignified thing to publish. Okay.
Now, you and I have discussed at the Wheeler Centre the situation of Julian Assange in the UK. Some years ago, you were a full-throated supporter of Julian. I gather in recent times perhaps you're not quite so full-throated in your support of Julian. What's your current view?
Well, I visited him in the embassy in London in late June this year.
Okay.
I think he deserves the support of his country.
Mm-hmm.
I think Australia should be helping him get out of Britain without the risk of being dragged off by the English police in case the English government is inclined to hand him over to America.
Okay.
And I say that because of the way Manning was
okay. Well, Julian is, to use the colloquial phrase, a bail jumper, and the British have every right to arrest him in relation to that matter.
Depends on what they do about it.
Well,
given that he's not been charged with anything. But yes, you're right, he jumped bail.
Yeah, well, we have previously discussed whether the so-called rape allegation in Sweden was actually a rape allegation or not. Is this your cab by any chance?
No.
Okay. Whether that was a valid rape allegation or not, but having said that, now the other night I went to a public meeting at the Wheeler Centre again featuring Gillian Triggs.
Yep.
And I asked her a question which I think I asked you at a Wheeler Centre event some years ago, from a human rights perspective. I have been of the view for 50 years that women should have access to safe, legal, affordable abortion services if they wish to terminate their pregnancy. But I've also been of the view, personally, that a human life is extinguished in the process. Do you agree or disagree?
I don't. He may be waiting for someone.
Okay.
And he's blocking all the traffic.
Okay.
No, he's not looking our way, so I think he's.
Can I ask whether you agree or disagree with the proposition that a human life is extinguished in the case of abortion?
If it's in the first trimester, I guess it's.
I'll just move slightly.
Yeah, I guess it's arguably accurate. It's doubtful because lots of spontaneous abortions happen during the first trimester. Medical abortions are really only legal in the first trimester.
Well, that comes back to legality.
The life which is extinguished is not independently viable.
I agree with that. I agree with that. Mind you, people in hospital on life support are not independently viable either, perhaps.
And I think it ought to be lawful to end their life if that's what they want.
What they want, okay. Yep. The thing that draws me to this issue currently is that we have a family member who's pregnant. And we've been seeing the ultrasound images, and they described how in the clinical setting they could actually hear the heartbeat.
Yep, yep.
And I'm intrigued at the attitude of some people that I regard as champions of human rights, who are often reluctant to ascribe humanity to the unborn child. And by no means am I suggesting going back to the days of women having to go down dark alleys to get backyard abortions. But I just would like some acknowledgement by people with hardened views on, we must have access to abortion, and we cannot, for example, have capital punishment.
Yeah.
Are we actually extinguishing the lives of unborn children?
Well, clearly, yes, you're extinguishing the life of an unborn child. Calling it extinguishing a human life is biologically accurate, but also unreasonably emotive, because, it depends on what you mean by a human life.
I find it difficult to look at an image of an entity with arms, legs, fingers, toes, a head and a heartbeat and say, well, that's not human. Yeah. That's just my view.
No, well, I follow that. But couching the question in terms of extinguishing a human life seems to be weighting the issue emotionally.
Yep.
And in what way is it, the risk of sounding like Peter Singer, in what way is it better to kill say, an adult gorilla that has misbehaved in its zoo cage, as opposed to ending the life of a fetus in the first trimester?
Look, in all honesty, I'm a pro-life person. If I find a spider in my home, I get it on a piece of paper and put it outside. I don't like killing anything. If I had to kill my own food, I'd be a vegetarian. But I'm perfectly happy to live in an environment where you can buy meat from the butcher and whatnot. But all I ask is for an acknowledgement by folks who are so vociferous on the human right of the mother, and I agree with that totally. But isn't there also another human life involved in it? And are there occasions when one individual's human rights outweigh another individual's human rights?
Well, I mean, I accept that. I haven't been vociferous on this issue, but I understand your point and I agree with you.
Mate, I very much appreciate your time. I hope I can chat with you at perhaps the Wheeler Centre at some point in the future. Good on you, mate.